Welcome to our presentation today. Our presentation topic is research methodology. And this is your presenter, Bituro Pascari Kazeri. Research methodology is a very important aspect or part of the research process, whether it is research for other things or research for academic award. My experience in the sake of research in Tanzania is that researchers treat methodology like a rocket, something like a rocket science, which it should not be. And I think that is a very difficult part of the research process, which it should not be at all. And to prove my point, I would like to cite one very good example. In the past, where ordinary people in the ordinary living, they would select a certain group among themselves to go and conduct a certain duty, certain activities for the entire family or group. And one of the very notable things is dowry payment, which normally is taken to the family of the bride. So what normally happens when that group go to do the assignment, they normally come and they report back. So the reporting, it comes from the time they embarked on their journey, what transpired in the course of their journey, how they were received at the bride's place, how they were treated, how did the whole process take place, and how they were seen off, and what actually happens, and whatever they encountered on their way back. So they come to report to the whole family, to the entire group, and that was like very, 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 very simple. But that is ordinary living. And actually what is happening in academia and science is the capturing of the ordinary life using scientific skills. That's the only difference. But the reporting, the approach, the process, it's like everybody is doing it. Only that the people they doesn't know, they're actually doing a scientific thing. Now, then how comes it become, with all the knowledge we have, with all the skill we have, with all the experience we have, how comes that methodology is a difficult thing to do? Now, it isn't for sure, because it actually wants you to know the record, to know how did you do, how did you go about what you have been assigned yourself to do. And actually, a research and the whole process is exclusively owned by the researcher himself or herself, not anybody else. The other one are just people there around to assist you how to do it better, now how to do it the proper way. So researchers who are listening to us, they should claim ownership of the research and the research process. But they should remember that it's very simple. All they have to do is open up their mind, open up their sensory organ, and they record everything and they report it scientifically. So what is the research methodology? A research methodology is a specific procedure or plan for identifying, 1, 2, selecting, 3, process, and analyzing information about a topic. And the topic is the problem of what you want to go and research upon, on. So how does it come to be difficult? That we say, we repeat, research methodology refer to a specific procedure or plan for identifying, selecting, process, and analyzing information about a topic. So, once we know, we have that definitions, which is a very simple definition. Then let's go, what is that process? And what is involved in that process? So the first stage, the first procedure under methodology, research methodology, is research design. So you design on how you are going to do it, but when you are doing the designing, you have to put in your mind what is your research problems, what is your research topic. If we are going to design something without the knowledge of what you are going to do, of what you have in your hand, then you are going to create a very big mess for yourself. So to be sure and to save yourself from trouble, you have to make sure that whatever you are going to design is going to be a match of what you are going to do. Now, a research design is a strategy for answering research questions. And how are you going to answer a research question or a research problem? You are going to do it by getting empirical data. So the aim of methodology is to get the empirical data. Why do you need the empirical data? We need the empirical data to answer the empirical question that you was raised in the other stage of the research process. So, in the research design, you're actually going to make decisions. So you make a decision on the two things. You make a decision on the research objective and the research question on the one side. Another decision that you are going to make is the decision on the approach that you are going to use. Okay? And there are, in the social sciences, we have two approaches. One approach is qualitative data, qualitative approach. The other approach is a quantitative approach. So these are two different things, but they are concerned with the type of data. So in a qualitative, you are actually, if you select, you make a decision and select qualitative, you have to make sure that the data, type of data that you are going to look for are opinions, perceptions, view of the people, the population of your study. Okay? So those are the type of data you are going to look for. But if you select the quantitative approach, then you are definitely going to look for statistical data, numbers, which goes in frequencies. Okay? How many days did the rain rains this rain season? Okay? How many farms did the people grow? What kind of crops people did they grow? But in a qualitative, that is not an issue. Numbers and the frequency is not an issue. the issues, opinions, views, perceptions from individuals. Okay? Now, having decided on the approach of your study, of your methodology, then that gives you, it goes down to other things that you have to do. And all these, the selections, the decision you are going to make, you should bear in mind that they should be matching within this topic or with your research programs. But then there is a very important issue that you are going to make decisions in your research design. One of the decisions another decision that you have to make is the setting. Setting will refer to where are you going to conduct your research. And that depends on a number of reasons. It depends on that it's going to give you, whatever reason you have, and at the end of the day, it has to give you data, empirical data, that are required to answer the empirical question that you have raised and related to the research problem you have. Another decision that you are going to make is the population of your research. And when we say the population, we are not referring to the population generally. In the world of research, when you say the population, we are referring to the individuals who have the information you want. Okay? If it's about women, so this is a population in the world of research is a subset of the general population of that geographical area. So if you are conducting your research in Tanzania, your population is not going to be all Tanzanians, like the 65 million people who are in Tanzania. But the population of our study is going to be women or elder people or students in higher learning institutions. Okay? So in the world of research, in the order of the topic that you have selected, if you want to deal with the students in higher learning institutions, then that is your population. We are not, and that population of higher learning institution people is also a part, is a subset of the general population of the Tanzania as a nation. So in the question of population, then we have to do to decide where you are not going to see and involve all students in higher learning institution. And how are you going to do? Then you go to the process called sampling and the sample size. Sampling is how are you going to get a number of people out of your population, meaning referring to students in higher learning institution. They're not going to ask you, so what is going to determine how many are you going to ask? That is the sampling process. And eventually, you are going to have a certain number of people. So the certain number of people who are going to participate or respond to be participant or respondent to your study, then that becomes a sample. You become the sample size. So all this goes the decision that you are going to make in your research design. So another decision after getting the setting, after getting the population, after trying to think and plan your sampling process, or your sampling size, then now you are ready to correct your data. Then you have to decide on the data correction process. In the data correction, then we refer to the techniques and the tools. And that is also determined, they refer to the approaches you have decided. For example, if your decision has led you to selecting qualitative, then qualitative has got it is specific techniques and the tools for data correction. For qualitative, we have things like focus group discussion. We have structured interview. We have got interview and a structured interview, I said it before. We have got content analysis. The content analysis comes from the, let's say, you want to know the views of Mwalimu Nyerere, or you go to his writings, his personal writing, biograph, then you can get his view on anything that you might be interested to research on. So the content analysis, biograph, historical narration, so forth. But if you have decided and selected the approach of quantitative, then you don't use you don't use the focus group discussion, because you are going to deal with statistics and numbers. So here you go for questionnaire or interview sometimes. So that is the techniques and data correction techniques and the tools. And there are processes, because you don't, once you have selected, then you have to start the constructions. How do you, there are procedure for preparing and designing research questionnaires. That you have to construct questionnaires. That's the first stage. The second stage, you review it. Then stage number 3, you take it to the second reader. You get his view, her view. You come to stage number 4. You're going to review the questionnaires from the first, the steady reader. You reformulate it, then you take them in the field for testing, you get their feedback, you construct it again. So it's a procedure. For every tools that you have to design, then you have to start formulating it, get it viewed by another person, redesign it, take it in the field, test it, you bring it back, design it again, reformulate it until you get the final version, which is going to be used in the research proper. So then after you have set up, you have identified your setting where you are going to conduct your research. After you have identified the population of your study, after you have decided on the data correction tools and conducted the formulation process to its conclusiveness, then you go now then you have to go to the stage of field approach and the field entering. How are you going to enter the field? And that involves getting all the proper documentations, introduction from your mother institution, if it's a university, if it's your research institution, you get it to the authorities, and the authority introduce you to the setting of your study, then you are ready to correct your data. So the field entering, which involves the ethical clearance, then it takes you to the data correction proper. So the data correction, you start conducting You make the contact with your correspondence. If it is a quantitative approach that you have selected, or participant if you have selected the qualitative approach. So you have to note these things. In a qualitative, you get the participant. In a quantitative, you get the respondent. Now, once you have done your data correction, then you go to data analysis. You have got your data and then start analyzing them. Now, with the advancing technology, we've got computer softwares which analyzes no. And I say no, because they don't have the capability of analyzing data. The computer software, what they do is to organize the data in the way you want it. The process of analyzing is conducted by the researcher himself or herself. So the computer software, I think we've got the SPSS, we've got Muscuda, we've got everything now in the market. So what the computer does for you, the computer software program does for you as a researcher, is just organizing data, but the actual analysis of the data is your personal assignment and the personal duty. Now, so in your reporting, you will say, the data organization were done by SPSS or Muscuda or whatever, but the analysis is done by you. So then another decision that has to be in your methodology is normally the validation. The validation comes from the process. I think we have done it when we were during the techniques and the tools. So when you take your formulation to another person and go for testing in the field before the actual data correction process, then that's their scientific proof that take care of the aspect of validation of data. When you are going to write your research methodology reporting. Now, there are another decisions that is going to be included in your research design is the challenges that one faces in the field. So the challenges could be anticipated. Okay? You know, there is issue of time, there is issue of accessibility, there are issue of finances, and then you know that it could be that you expect certain challenges. Then you have to introduce in your methodology how are you going to mitigate those limitations. How are you going to make them not affect your research? And that idea should also be included and that could lead people also to say, okay, if a quantitative approach won't give you complete data, or if qualitative independently won't give you enough data, then you go to a multi-purpose. You go to another approach which combines all the methodology. Or if there is any shortcoming, then there are ways of mitigating those issues. Then another very important decision, or another important component of research design, which is part of methodology, is the issue of ethical in research. That people should consent to participate or be responded in your research. So you have to develop and formulate the consent form. Then there is an issue of privacy of the information. People they need to be protected. There is issue of safety and the protection against stigmatization, and an issue of making sure that in control the biasness of you as a researcher. We've got another issue of making sure that at the end of the day, the research is going to benefit the entire society, not for a very few people, and the research is not going to be source of harm to research participants or research correspondents. So that is actually the process which you should own, and you should report. This is a vast matter of recording and recording whatever you want to do or whatever you are going through, and that makes the methodology part of the research a very simple and a very interesting principle, because you design it, you go through the process, you know how you did it. It's just a matter of reporting what you did and how you did it. That is the end of our presentation. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you very much.